explored a variety of principles that help us nurture a sense of holistic integrity and strengthen our ability to show and share the love of Jesus by bringing our words and deeds into harmony. Things like sharing in the first person, compassionate listening, and entering into the lives of others. To finish up part 3 of this study, I want to focus on our heart, because at the end of the day, that's what integrity is all about. It's a matter of the heart. Our heart is the very center of ourselves. From our hearts flow the good, the bad, and everything in between. That's why the warning from Proverbs is so important. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Now, you don't have to be a Christian to see how important our hearts are. You can see it just by the way that we talk. Some of us have brave hearts, others have faint hearts. There are cheating hearts and generous hearts. We've all met folks who are hard-hearted and others with gentle, tender hearts. And at one time or another, we've all had to steel our hearts when we're faced with a difficult event or decision. For Christians especially, our hearts are important because that's the place where Christ lives through the power of the Holy Spirit. So the wholeness we're talking about when we think about integrity is a wholeness of heart. Our hearts must be whole, complete, and undivided. Unfortunately, our hearts are anything but undivided. Thankfully, we aren't alone in this difficulty because the disciples were challenged in this arena as well. They wanted to follow Jesus, but their hearts were divided by their idea of what a Messiah was supposed to be. Their concept of Messiah was as a triumphant king, and that made it hard for them to welcome the leadership of a suffering servant with an undivided heart. They tried to follow Jesus, but their desire to sit in the favored spot in God's kingdom blocked them from taking up their own crosses with a singleness of heart. We're a lot like the disciples. We want to follow Jesus with a singleness of heart, but our hearts are divided. There are gaps between what we say and what we do. We say we love people, but our actions speak otherwise. We talk about respect, but our actions feel more like judgment. Just like the disciples were hindered by misunderstandings about Jesus or their own desire for prestige and power, our efforts to reach out are undermined when we forget that we're not in control of whether or not others come into relationship with Jesus. We mentioned this in session 2. We're only the channel for change. We're not responsible for it. The Holy Spirit is the only one who can initiate change. All we can do is show and share the love of Jesus with integrity, following him with a singleness of heart. In many parts of our world, societies are really polarized. There are huge religious divides, political divides, cultural divides. For Christians, it can sometimes feel as though few people share our value system or our understandings about family, politics, sexuality, work, economics, and so many other things. A sense of distrust and anger pervades so many of our cultures, and it's been deepened and expanded by social media in a way never seen before. On top of all that, there seems to be a renewed intensity of religious nationalism in countries all around the world, the intermingling of politics and faith in ways that are damaging to both. This is the environment in which we find ourselves as we seek to follow Jesus with undivided hearts and show and share his love with the wholeness of integrity. It's a confusing and difficult time. It's a time when not only our integrity is at stake, but the integrity of the gospel as well. As all these social norms shift and Christian values are not always shared by the dominant culture, it can be tempting to run and hide, to retreat to the safety of our own church networks and circles. But if we do that, we won't be able to reach our world for Christ, because we will no longer know or understand or even love the very world we've tried so hard to protect ourselves from. It can also be tempting to hate on the culture around us, ranting on social media about people who disagree with us or hold a different set of values than we do, railing that the government doesn't share our exact commitments. This last one kind of puts us in sync with the disciples. Remember, they wanted a Messiah who would be a triumphant king, basically become the government. But did Jesus do that? Nope. He told everyone that his kingdom wasn't of this world. The temptation to hide or hate divides our hearts. It undermines our integrity and hinders the working of the Holy Spirit. The metaphor of embrace reminds us that instead of hiding, we reach out. Before anything and everything else, we open our arms to others. Before they've gotten their acts together. Before they share our values or behave like Christians. And the essential value of integrity keeps us grounded in reciprocity and wholeness. Our own integrity, the integrity of the other person, and the integrity of the gospel is paramount. So as we show and share the love of Jesus, we always respect the sacred right of others to accept or reject that love. We don't coerce, we don't force, we don't bait and switch, we don't sit in judgment, even when it seems like our whole culture is stacked against us. We create safe spaces where others can experience the love of Jesus, and we continue to embrace them as they journey toward faith. John Sobrino is a Latin American Jesuit theologian. He describes spirituality as a profound motivation. He says it's about instincts, intuitions, longings, and desires, both within nature and in our culture, that move us, inspire us, and shape us. The things that inform and fill our decisions and actions. That definition of spirituality, profound motivation, connects with the idea of the undivided heart necessary for integrity and wholeness. Our spirituality is whatever we desire most, whatever we strive for, whatever motivates us, drives us, moves us to select one thing over another. Whatever primary shaping forces are in our life, that's our spirituality. And if it's not Christ, we won't be able to follow with singleness of heart or show and share the love of Jesus with integrity. Our spirituality won't be Christ-centered. Instead, it'll be centered on whatever it is that holds the attention of our hearts. And when that happens, we run the risk not only that our integrity is diminished, but that the gospel that people see reflected in our life will lose its wholeness and integrity as well. Every culture creates gods with a small g in order to justify its way of thinking and make people feel more comfortable about its lifestyle. These gods come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and they divide our hearts, dilute our loyalty to living in the Jesus way, and make it all the more difficult to show and share his love. Some of these gods lead us to believe we'll receive blessings or healings or wealth, but only if we give our money first. Others lure us into thinking that a particular political party is divinely ordained to lead, or that our righteous anger makes it okay to rant at people who disagree with us. And there are other gods that entice us to feel that our identities as white or black, gay or straight, male or female, are more important than our identities as people who are made in the image of God and saved by his unmerited grace. But showing and sharing the love of Jesus with integrity is about guarding ourselves against false gods, making sure that our most profound motivation is Christ, and going out into this world as people of integrity, whole persons with undivided hearts, willing to be a channel of healing and transformation in the lives of everyone we meet, regardless of who they are or what they believe. Isaiah has a great word for us about the power we have when we follow in the Jesus way with an undivided heart, showing and sharing his love single-mindedly. In chapter 58, he says that if we engage the world on behalf of Jesus, if we become immersed in the real lives of people and reflect a deep commitment to their well-being, both physical and spiritual, we will be able to live in the light. In fact, when we do this, our light will shine in the darkness, and our night will become as noonday. Our righteousness will go before us, and God's glory will be our rear guard. God will be ever present to help us in our moments of struggle and need. When people talk about communion, sometimes they use the metaphor of a squeezed out grape. By now you know I like metaphors, and this is another one that helps us understand showing and sharing the love of Jesus. Making our lives comfortable isn't God's top priority. Neither is helping us achieve success or affluence or advancing our preferred political party. God is about the business of squeezing us so that we can come drink nourishment for the world. In our polarized world, too many of us are like marbles rather than grapes. If you try to squeeze a marble, more often than not, it'll just slip right out of your fingers. It'll escape your grasp. We can be like marbles, trying to escape God's squeeze. But God calls each of us to show and share the love of Jesus. Those who are showing and sharing the love of Jesus with integrity, with the wholeness that comes from an undivided heart, they are the ones who allow God to squeeze them out like grapes, who allow themselves to stay in God's hands so they can be squeezed out as sustenance for the world. It's worth remembering what I mentioned in our last session. God's grace is good news in all kinds of circumstances, for all kinds of needs. That's the beauty of the gospel. It's multifaceted good news that addresses the multifaceted dynamic of being human, and it stands in stark contrast to so many of the cultures of the world. That means that more than any other people, we Christians are uniquely suited to offer a radically beautiful alternative, an alternative in which nothing and no one is beyond God's inexhaustible love and transformative power.